Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have a programming session on a 2006 Ford Mustang 4.6 GT. This is coming from Georgia. Able Body Shop. This is your computer. He contacted me a couple of days ago. Said, Mike, I need to reprogram this computer. I'm like, yeah, well, you don't want to test it and make sure, is anything wrong with it? It's like, no, I just needed to reprogram. We already check everything, and we know as the computer needs to be reflashed. I'm like, okay, well, then, sure, I can do it for you. I said, you, you can call mobile diagnostics. It's like, yeah, but I already got the computer out, so let me just send it to you. All right, so that is the fault code. I think they're trying to get rid of the P0155, and I'm not going to go too much over that because, again, his request was specifically to do that, and that is his information. I have, as I normally do, a complete folder with the VIN number of the vehicle. Let me show you that. And this is the VIN number, which we'll be seeing very shortly when I connect. I'm using the original for PCM2 and for IDS. I got full subscription original from Ford. And we're going to do the programming. So the last digits on the on the VIN are 140083. All right, what else we have in here? Well, I actually went ahead and get some of the information about that. That is for an O2 sensor. And you can see right here, P0155, they, request, sorry, a technician that was doing this recommended to check fuses and harness and all that stuff. Following the flow chart in here, it shows you to, to check the connectors and go over to DW pinpoint tests. This is, I'm going to scroll down. Let me just make this a little smaller so we can get each page completing here so you can see it. All right, so just going to go down, and this is just a series of what connector you will be seeing in here, right? So the first one was obviously A, and then B and C, and it tells you which connector you should be using. And then, not sure what it went that way. Let me see where the Mustang is. All other vehicles C. I guess it's all other vehicles. All right, so it's easy to find that in the vehicle, right? So if you're going to see and compare to those, and then for the P0155, we need to go to DW9, as it says in here for DTCs, P0135, 141. Let me get a box so you can see what I'm pointing at. I'm using my phone because all my camera gear is already packed up for Alaska trip. All right, so this is what I'm reading right here. It says to go to DW9. So I'm just going to scroll down to DW9 so we can see what it's recommending to do. It says for DW9, investigate the following items as potential sources of the O2 sensor contamination. Use on unapproved silicone sealers, fuel contaminated by silicone additives, excessive oil consumption, glycol leaking internally in the engine, lead contaminated fuel, short dry cycles in cold weather, which not this time of the year, use on unapproved cleaning agents. And then they tell you to reset the keep alive memory, right, to completely erase the memory on the computer. And then if that doesn't correct it, to go to 10, DW10. Then after that is PCM connectors connected, visually inspect the O2 sensor harness for exposed wiring, water contamination, corrosion, and improperly assembled. Is the concern present? Yes, no, then go to 11. Verify the harness pins are in a proper location, measure the resistance between. So if somebody has replaced a sensor, Anthony, make sure that you check that and make sure that the pinouts are correctly. I'm going to, like I said, that's what I'm showing this in here. If you need a wire diagram, I have all the wire diagrams and everything. But yeah, as you can see, none of these ones and any of this is telling me to do a programming. And that's what I was a little concerned, but customer is requesting to do it. I am just going to follow his requests. And I'm trying my best to always guide the customers to the correct way, but if that's what they want to do, then that's what I will do. Sometimes it's better to just get it here. Let me put my glasses, guys, so I can see what you're seeing. Give me 1 second. All right, so that is the first selection on the VCM. I'm going to do that here, so it's easier for me to select in there. That's the IDS starting. Not sure which image might be better for you. I think that's a little bigger as well. Okay, that's not the correct number because that was an old session. So we're going to click no. Are you an open session was found? Resume? No. I always delete all these sessions. Not sure why that is in there, but either way. All right, we're going to go and start a new session. In this case, I have the computer off, so now let me power, power this on and power the universal backs on. I also have the meter connected so we can see the fiber reference on. So that is in there. And I can probably, let me do that. Let me make this a little smaller since I'm going to be pointing the camera there. Let me get that meter so we can, and you guys can see when I'm, turning the ignition on and off. All right, so I'm going to keep that one. Come on, just not sure what it did that. All right, so that's what I wanted to do is just put them on the side here. And we're gonna make this window smaller. Either way, we don't really need the whole landscape because my screen is super big. Like that, you guys can see that. All right, so let me get a tripod because my hand is getting tired. All right, guys, now I got you in the tripod and I can use my hands freely. Perfect, that's very, very good for me. Let me actually get, makes no difference for you guys, the light, right? No. All right, so now you see the computer is powered on, so let's select all others and let's see if we get the correct V number. I'm gonna read, I cannot read it from my phone because I'm using the phone to record today. Yeah, it's a Mustang 4.6, 2006. Is this correct? Yes. Let's just wait for this to connect completely. And I even, told Anthony, you can do this with just an IDS, but they're a body shop, so body shops usually don't do much programming. They like somebody else to handle that, and they usually don't have many capable scanners, just code readers and so on to erase. All right, 140083, that is correct. And I'm going to put, just zeros in here. You need to put something in there as an arrow. All right, now we got the complete VIN number, 1CBHT-A5H4651400083, which if we go here, that is the correct exact VIN number. And now I'm going to click on here again and on this so we can keep the same look. All right, so everything is good. Now we go over on the tab of the IDS and we select the toolbox. And now we're going to do into module programming, programmable module installation. You can do this one or you can do module reprogramming. Either one will work, but since we're not doing installation, because I will go into the entire process, we can try module reprogramming. Sometimes this doesn't work. It depends on the year. You can click in here or you can click on the tick mark in here. I always just double click in there. So switch ignition is on. Keep an eye on the meter. That's going to tell you when I'm switching the ignition off and on. All right, says the current calibration version IDS 130.09. No later calibration is available for this PCM. The latest label available for this computer is 6R3A and then FB. Verify that the LCD, blah, blah, blah. So if we see the picture of the computer, and that is the latest calibration. So there is no latest calibrations on this computer. So the only thing I can do is recalibrate. And in this case, like I said before, so let me again click on the whole thing because this is telling me that there's nothing to update. So there is no update for this computer. So we will have to do PMI. All right, so in this case, I will refresh the calibration. All right, now I'm going to switch the ignition off. Again, keep an eye on the fiber reference. You see when I'm switching the ignition on and off. During the programming, this module goes through a beam verification process, compares the pin in this module with the pin other modules in the vehicle. Well, that's blah, blah, blah. Is this being correct? Yes. Install the new module on the car. We're just going to click yes. And this is how you can reflash a computer. Or now we're going to switch the ignition on when because it could be that the software could be corrupted, and I'm just following what the customer wants, right? All right, we click on ignition off, ignition on. Now it's erasing the current calibration. In this case, it's pretty easy. You use the same PMI, and when you are doing a use module and start to have the ignition on the entire process, you will go until it tells you to install the new module. All that time, you will have completely all the power off. But if you go into there, now you can install the use module. It's going to request like it thinks that you have an empty module, let's say, a module with no programming in it, and then we'll do the reprogram for you. And I have videos if you want to know how to do that. I have a full video on, and I think I name it what Ford doesn't want you to know. All right, so ignition off. And here it's pretty simple. We're just going to follow the prompts. Calibration has been loaded and checked. And then the part number will not change because obvious reason. This is not the and a newer calibration is the same calibration, so the label is the same. And you don't need to print the label. It's not required for vehicle service in North America and in North America. So let's see what it says. Start the engine. Do not press the throttle. So we don't need to do any of that. Either way, it will not work. Switch ignition. Right, ignition back on, and am I going to erase all the follow codes? Yes, it does. I'm just going to take 20 to 30 seconds. You can see the bar right at the bottom, right here, what is, going through. I'm not going to even stop the video because it's fairly quickly. You see, it was very quick. All right, so ignition off. And that's it. So that is actually a complete process of programming. I can, go back in here to the toolbox if I want to. I can go into data logger, powertrain, engine. Now the computer is on. As you see, I got a fiber reference on. And it's communicating very quickly too. Let me see here. Maybe not in the data logger because this will just show us, data. Either way, we can deselect all. Well, let me see the auto sensors values, but I mean, we have nothing connected, right? So just to compare, um, we're at the front. Actually, no, let me select this one. I'm just selecting all the auto sensor PIDs to see what is actually showing. Make sure, I mean, at least in here, it all shows 0. Nothing is picking up like a weird voltage because sometimes you can see that even with nothing connected, one auto sensor will be reading 3 volts, and that is a short inside the computer. But it looks like it's not the case. All right, the other thing we can do is go into powertrain, and let me see, relative compression, ignition. Let's do a self test. Powertrain. Let me retrieve the constant memory DTCs, which there should be nothing in there except for a few pump not connectors or stuff like that. Let's see. Want to see if that if the P0155 still shows up with nothing being connected. Engine DTCs continues. No, there is nothing on the P0155. So yep, at least this is definitely nothing on the module that will set that fault with nothing connected. So we'll have to see when Anthony connected back in the car. Guys, again, this is just a short video, and I'm like to show and I record these for the customer to make sure that he sees that we did indeed do the programming as he requested, and everything is good to go. Now we have a computer that is communicating, everything is good, and no problems. All right, guys, thank you so much for visiting the channel. If you have any computers or so that you need to repair, just look into my website, Mike Salazar Diagnostics. This is the website. When you get here, this is the homepage. Look for the big letters with my name and the address. On the left side, you got to click here to fill this form to send a module. Or the right side, click here to email us. If you have anything or any questions before you want to fill any of that, use the Let's Chat button. Hopefully you can see it from there. The Let's Chat button, and you can make any questions and you get answers immediately. So, and phone numbers, anything you need in there. All right, guys. Again, any automotive or marine ECMs, I'm here to help you. Just shoot me an email or find my website. Again, MikeSalazarDiagnostics.com. Yeah, my name is spelled MAIC. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.